I'm sitting here with Australia's own Josh Picko Pickering from Curry. Beautiful looking weather down there today, mate.
Yeah, it's been good, mate. It's the last few days, the last couple of weeks, to be honest, it's been not too bad weather, but we come into a bit of rain last 3 days, but winds picked up and things have calmed off again. So another day in paradise.
Why are you so approachable and why are you so easygoing in a sport that is very ego-driven and very selfish? Why are you the exception?
Probably the people I've been brought up with. We're no one special. It's just, I ride bikes for a living. I've got mates that, playing concrete. I've got mates that are electricians, and I look at each other and we're all the same. So I'd like to just, anyone who's always got time to say hello to me, I've got time to say hello to them, So, it's just how it is. If someone's nice to me, I'll be nice to them in return.
Please let everyone know where to find you on socials, what you're riding this year, where to get hold of Josh Pickering, and how we can keep track of what you're doing.
I don't use Twitter that much, but my racing page is Josh Pickering Racing on Facebook, and also Joshie Pickering is just my Instagram. But the Josh Pickering Racing is the one that I'll put up results after every match, and gives people an insight of what's coming up, what I've done, and what we're looking forward to, I suppose.
Without sort of realising, because how I attack meetings, I'm one bloke trying to film everything, but you've actually done a lot of trips to my local track in Brisbane. I only really sort of took heaps of notice when I was going through my footage the other night. How come you've come up to Brisbane so much in the last sort of 12 months?
I race everywhere when I'm home. It's if there's a meeting on and, I can get a little bit of help in getting there and things like that, I'll do it, mate. It's part of us coming home and being Australian. We're very lucky in that sense, because the boys that are from UK or Europe based, they've all got terrible weather from October to March, so they can't really get a chance to get on the bike much. So for us to come home, start of November, end of October, and we can test a few things that we wanted to try but didn't, because we knew something that worked 80%, but now we can know for a fact to better it for next time. Yeah, if there's a meeting on and I can go out there and race my bike, I'll do it.
2022 has been pretty good to you so far already. You've managed to get on the podium a couple of times in some really big meetings. In Mildura this year earlier, you took out the Dash for Cash and a few other bits. So your ear's good to you when you come home and ride.
I enjoy being home. I enjoy being in Australia. Everyone obviously loves Australia. For me, it's just when I get a chance to ride at my local track at Curry, I get to race in front of my family, my sisters, all my mates that don't get to watch me race because I'm overseas for 8 to 9 months a year. So that's a massive bonus. And then what Darcy's doing up in Queensland, I'll come and support him. It's no stress up there. And then when he puts his other meetings on, if I can do it, I'll do it. If not, then sometimes I have to miss. Ryan Sedgman down at Mildura, again, he looks after us always when we head down there. So if he's got meetings on, and again, I don't have anything already booked in, or, a lot of my friends and stuff, they plan their birthdays, and not so much birthdays, but big events like engagement parties and weddings and things. My close mates, they sort of plan that for me being home, So if none of that's already taken priority on weekends, then I'll race. But other than that, for me being home in Australia, it's family time and, enjoying the sun.
How do you go about sort of sponsors and covering your racing and that sort of thing?
Majority of my sponsors, it's people I've either grown up with or become very good mates with. Say 80% of my support system for financial costs, it's of guys either a couple of years older than me, but we're all me good mates, and they're all from around this area, and everything that they do is to help me, achieve what I need to do. And they know that everything that I do off the bike, they know that everything that they give me goes back into my equipment and try to better myself. And it definitely is hard, and without my sponsors that do support me, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. Again, it's just all preparations. I've got like new engines ordered, all my bikes have everything that needs, all that type of stuff is all but done.
Much touch on the overseas thing for this year, because as far as I'm aware, you're back with the Monarchs again in Edinburgh, but in Poland, you've sided with Ravitch. What does that entail for you, as in the amount of meetings in the time you're over there?
Sorry. Yeah, Edinburgh in the Championship, Kings Lynn in the Premiership, and also Ravitch in the Division 2 in Poland. I'll clock up about 67 meetings, not including playoffs or anything like that, or any guest bookings. So I think I could set to say I'll be doing about 80-odd meetings in the season that starts the 27th of March until the 31st of October. Definitely quite a few matches to be done.
Do you have any pre-race rituals that you run through every heat or every meeting?
For example, we end on a bad note or we end on a good note. If I end on a good note, I'll go to sleep well and happy and wake up feeling good. If I have a bad note, which it does happen, I just got to try and forget about it as quick as possible, not to dwell on it, and then focus on the next meeting ahead and just think of all the positive outcomes. However, if it was ending on a good note, then I'm also feeling good, and then I'll thrive on that energy to take into my next match. But in the mornings, I wake up, I'll unload the van. By the time I unload the van, strip the bike down, my wife, Brooke, she's usually got my breakfast and that cooked. I'll have that. I'll head back out the workshop, get the bike prepped, get everything sorted, come back in. She's usually got lunch sorted for me. I'll have me lunch. I'll then have a shower. I'll go to sleep for a couple of hours. I like having a bit of a nap. The biggest thing for me is just give myself some energy. And when you're tired and you're busy all the time, it's so hard to drink water and to eat food. My biggest goals is making sure I drink at least three litres of water in the morning, like throughout the day until I go racing. When I wake up after my nap, I'll have a shower again, freshen up. I'll eat me dinner, and then I'll just hang out for a couple of hours until we head off to the track again and do it all again. I'd say ritual would just be relaxing and just chilling out and sleeping, because I use that much energy without a season and driving 8 to 10 or say 8 hours a day roughly with racing, going to and from a meeting, as well as having 5 hours at the meeting. So it's 13-hour days minimum, and can get quite tiring. And that's not including your bike washing and preparation for your next one. If you look at it sometimes and seeing everything that you have to do individually and seeing how many meetings you got to do, it's like you try and work out how much time in the day you have. Like if you're just cruising around and you want to just do your bike one day, you can spend 5 hours doing that. But then other times you've got to drive 6 hours, be there 2 hours before the meeting starts, then you're at the meeting for 5 hours, and then you've got to drive another 4 hours after the meeting. You're getting home at 3 o'clock in the morning, then you got to get up at 8 a.m. to wash your bike and get everything prepared to race again that night. It's quite bizarre what we do, and then if you didn't love it, you wouldn't do it. I work twice as hard as any other normal job I've ever had in my life in Australia. When we're there, average of 3 to 4 meetings a week. As well, this year I'm going to be flying in and out of Poland most Sundays. So it's got to be a lot of preparation behind the scenes and organisation to get things sorted, and then just having my mechanics to be on the ball and knowing what we have to do and pairing our schedule in that way. 1 week, for example, I race Thursday night Kings Lynn, Friday night Edinburgh, which is like 7 hours apart. Saturday night I'm at Leicester, I think, so that's like 6 hours down from Edinburgh. Sunday I race in Poland. Monday I fly, so I have to then fly to Poland on Sunday morning, race Sunday night, fly back to the UK Monday morning to race Monday night Kings Lynn, Tuesday night Plymouth, Wednesday night Birmingham, and I think Thursday night Ipswich. I have Friday off, then I race Saturday, Sunday again. It's that crazy what we do without being like fit and mentally strong. It's that hard, because anyone can rock up to any job they do and be told what to do, and whether they're dragging their feet or actually having a bit of a go and putting effort in, they're going to get the same wage either way. For me, it's all performance based. So if I'm going good, then I can earn good money. If I have a couple of bad nights, you're earning nothing. It's just about, for me, I just like to work on consistency, continue and score. And like I would much rather score 10 points every meeting and be happy than score 15 one meeting and 6 the next. That's just what I'm going to really focus on this year, is just preparation, concentrating always and trying to be at my best and just being consistent.
The things to unpack in that, what you've talked about, is even something as simple as water. Even if you don't have enough water, that's such a simple thing with a busy lifestyle that if you miss that, then comes injuries, energy, failure, all that sort of thing.
You don't realise, like, when I started focus on, like, what do I need to do? What the average person should drink, like, say, 3 litres of water a day, minimum. And then I look back to thinking, oh, yeah, when did the last time I have a drink? I'm like, far out. I only had 2 glasses of water today, which is like, a quarter of what I probably should be doing naturally without going out and racing and doing all that other stuff. So I'm only at like 20% of what I should be, my body needs to run on. And it's like your car, mate. You can't expect to drive from here to Queensland on $20. Like, you got to give your body the right fuel. Another thing, nutrition. That's what I'm really worried about this year, and eating the right things and putting the right things in my body at the right time.
In my state and traveling with teams, I don't know what it's like overseas, but sometimes the only thing available is whatever service station. Yeah, Macca's or service stations. How do you get around that?
Well, you don't. Crumpy told me years ago when I first started, the best thing you can do for your dinner and stuff is just look for the healthiest thing that McDonald's has to offer. You know that it's going to be quick, it's easy. The food's not been sitting there because it's fast food. It's always interchangeable, so you're not going to get sick from it. He goes, like, you can go to restaurants and get something nice and all the rest of it. He goes, however, sometimes obviously the timing schedule don't work, but even when he did have time on his side, he told me your safest option is just going to Macca's because your body's used to it. You've had it your whole life. You can get a quick and easy fix and know you're not going to get sick from overnight time. Yeah, definitely. Like, McDonald's is the way. I'll just get a chicken Caesar wrap or something like that. And I'm a big hog for ice cream. I love my ice cream. So I'll always get a McFlurry or something like that. But the following day, it's just back to eating normal. I'll have eggs for breakfast and a chicken salad for lunch. And you just got to try and have structure.
Going overseas and having to do so much is, I think if you don't plan ahead or you don't have a structure, I think you're just going to fail regardless.
I like knowing what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. So this way in Speedway as well, I know what I'm doing for the whole year. It's a big thing, and I like that. And I can look at my calendar. Oh, yeah, I can do this or I can do that. And I can catch up, my days off. I can sort of plan around what I'm already doing. Obviously, if you have rain-offs in the mix, which that happens, it's just how it is in Speedway. But other than that, like, I'm pretty sorted about what I'm doing and what I need to do from now until the 31st of October. So that makes me happy.
Running overseas, you're going to run into fellow Australians, and if you're lucky, you're going to become good mates and all that sort of thing. So over your time over there, who have been sort of your travel buddies or teammates?
Not so much travel buddies or teammates. Sam, definitely. Sam Masters the last couple of years. Me and him are, thick as thieves now. We're good mates. We hang out like away from racing. This year I'll be moving down towards him. We'll be sharing a workshop. So we get on awesome. His partner Tegan, she gets on awesome with my wife Brooke. So, that's a big thing as well, that the girls are both happy. Rowan's one of my good mates as well. And I've even met a couple of English mates over there. And like Adam Ellis, I get on great with him. Kyle Howarth, Richie Worrell. Like, I try and get along with as much as everyone, because you never know when you're going to need someone's help. And we're a long way from home. There's no point having enemies 24 hours away from all your family and friends. I like to just try and get on with everyone. Don't have to be their best mate. Be happy and don't really have a bad word to say about people.
The zero ego thing from the top end guys is absolutely mind-blowing for me, because for what I do get to travel a little bit across Australia, and I am absolutely blown away by the high-level guys. They are not ego-driven whatsoever, and you're one of those people.
People are people. There is a few among the group that is a little bit ego-driven, but at the same time, you can just sort of accept the people for how they are, and that's it. Like, it don't affect me with the way that they deal with things. If it started affecting my life and how they spoke to me, then I'd have an issue with it. But if it makes them feel any better and that's how they've got to be, then that's on them, But if I can get away with just being how I am, then I'll be happy.
Now, you're one of many people that run the colour pink on some of your stuff. Why the colour pink?
My mother, actually. It's just she's sort of been a bit sick my whole life, I suppose, and the big C word's been amongst it. And I actually started riding with like a bit of pink ribbon on the back of my goggles when I was about 11 years old. And then it evolved to when I was building my Speedway covers up, I thought to myself, I'll have a bit of pink in there. And then I had like the breast cancer bow and things like that. And on every single one of my suits, there's a breast cancer bow on top of my heart. You can't see it, obviously, because you've got a race jacket and stuff on. But that's really not there for anyone else to see. It's just more for me, I suppose. Yeah, that's the reason why I run the pink. And over the years now, it looks pretty cool as well. It goes with some different type of colours, but yeah, there's actually a meaning behind mine.
I love it because I didn't know why, and I had an inkling it could have been something like that, but it just again shows what sort of bloke you are, and that family is a big thing to you.
Well, I've got a big family. Got 4 sisters, 4 nieces, 4 nephews. We'll be 4 nieces in a couple of months. 4 nephews. We've always got plenty of mates here. My house has always been the party house for all my sisters and her friends, but with me now as well, like my mates are either rocking up or coming here without me knowing, or if I am home, like, one rocks up here and then another 5 walk through the door because we're all there and it's just easy. We like to just all hang out and they know I'm only here for 4 months a year. So if my mates and everyone can come over and we can catch up, then we will.
I want to know, how do you overcome the English barrier, like the language barrier, when you do race in other countries or when you deal with people from other countries over there?
Scotland, when I moved there in 2017, that was hard to understand. They talk really quick and they've got a lot thicker accent than like an English accent. The way they pronounce certain words and the way they use words differently for other things, it's a little bit hard sometimes. I've got that down pat now. I've spent 5 years with them, so I understand what they say and what they mean when they say it. But for the UK side of things, for English side of things, it's just a little bit of accent sometimes, and you just got to really watch what they say and what their body language is when they're speaking. When it comes to Poland, complete different language. It's got nothing to do with accents. There's no English speaking. So you can you've always got someone there to interpret it for you, and you can tell by the body language of someone and their attitude of when they're speaking, whether they're happy or not. Yeah, luckily so far I haven't really upset any Polish people off. So every conversation we've had has been easy.
Blokes like me, or most Speedway fans in general, they'll never get to go to another country, let alone a country that does it so professionally over there.
It is pretty wild, and I'm looking forward to it very much this year. I've worked pretty hard to get to where I am now, and it's only starting again. So goals change and everything moves forward. I'm sort of where I am right now. That was my goals, 2 years ago, and even last year how I got up in the premiership and earned me spot there, and now I've just sort of built a team around me this year and I'm a number 1 rider. That's like pretty special. But just now goals change. If you're just happy at that, I'll never get better. So my goals have changed now and something to focus on for this year, and hopefully we can achieve them.
How do you go about trying to be a GP rider? Because I think it's totally different to being very, very good in the elite league and all that sort of thing. So how does it even come about to get the chance to try?
You got to go good in the Australian Championship. It all comes down to that when you come home. And then the top 3 or top 4, they might be now, you can race in the Grand Prix qualifier. So you go up against the top, say, 4 riders from every other country in the world, and they put it on 3. They put 1 meeting on. 3 meetings on one weekend, and it's just, for example, if I win the Australian Championship, I can decide what meeting I want to go into if it's a track that I prefer. If not, if I just make it in, if I get fourth, for example, it's just randomised. And then you just go, okay, you're going to Terranzano. Okay, you're going to Gorican, or you're going to Glasgow in Scotland. And then what you do there is you then have to finish in the top 3 of that meeting. And then, top 4 of that meeting. And then obviously there was 3 meetings on the same day. So that's 12 riders put into the last Grand Prix qualifier. And then they also select a handful of riders to go into it. And you're up against current Grand Prix riders that didn't make the top 6 from the year before. So then they're trying to earn their spot back in the Grand Prix again. So every rider that's in that top 16 for that last Grand Prix qualifier, it's crazy. You're up against all Grand Prix riders or blokes that are good enough to be in the Grand Prix. So it is a bit of a task to get there, but I think it's achievable.
I'm so happy you said that you think it's achievable, because I really do. With your positive outlook and from the skills I've seen, it is something where if you have a great attitude and you attack it like you have with structure and all that, I can't see why you can't throw your hat in the mix.
Fricky is one of my good mates, but there's been nights where I've beat him, no problem. Doyley, I can't say that because I've only raced him once, and that was when I first got on a 500 Speedway bike in, say, 2015. That's the one and only time I've raced Doyley. Rowan, again, there's been times I've beat him, but a lot of the time he has done me in the past. But again, he's a rider that probably should be in the World Championship right now. He was a bit unlucky at the last Grand Prix qualifier this year, but the way he's riding and how he went up in Queensland, there's no reason why he can't be a Grand Prix rider. And not only that, Jack Holder, he's the first reserve this year for the Grand Prix. And me and Jack, we've both beat each other many times, So everyone's beatable. It's all achievable. But that's where I touched on earlier about the consistency thing. That's what defines a champion in Speedway, because anyone can jump out and beat anyone at any time at any track, where if you are that consistent man and you're a top rider, then you can do that week in, week out, day in, day out. So that's what I'm going to really concentrate on. Last year, every single person in the league that I've raced against, I've beat before. So I wasn't worried at all. This year, they've brought a couple of riders back into it, like Doyley and Tobias Musliak. I've never raced against them riders, but everyone else I'm racing against, I've already beat them. So I'm not even worried about them. And I've just got to focus on going into each race and just doing my best.
I do want to touch on your wife for a sec, because obviously she's your support network and all that sort of thing. But how crucial is she to what you do and how you go about it?
A lot. She's my backup, mate. It's like having 2 of me there, to be honest. When I've got certain things to do, when I'm either unloading the van, she's washing something for me, as in the washing machine, or like I said, cooking up, making sure I'm eating. If I was to do every single one of them jobs between every meeting, I'd say I wouldn't have time to sleep, or I wouldn't have time to eat. I'd have to subsidise something, and I wouldn't be able to get what I should be getting. Having Brooke there with me, mate, it's just, again, it's also having someone there with me away from racing, and just being the people we are, it's good to just have someone there with me. And the fact is that we're on the other side of the world. We've got no one else. So we do spend a lot of time with each other, and we don't never get sick of each other, which is a good thing. A lot of people, sometimes my mates, they might work 60 hours a week at a mine site and come home and still have arguments with their partner and have the shits and all the rest of it. But me and Brooke can go 7 months inseparable with each other every single day, and wouldn't be bugger all arguments in between. And if it is, there's probably over me saying something stupid and being an idiot anyway. But
I guess I'd just say thanks for leading the way in the solo guys to come and start doing some of these, because I'm sort of known as a sidecar guy, I guess.
I'm open for a chat about anything and talk to anyone about anything. I'm not setting my ways and just strictly talk about certain things. I've got mates that should be professional golfers, and now, coal miners, and I've got other mates that should be professional cricket players, and in the same thing. I've grown up in a very sporting community, whether it be golf, cricket, footy, riding motorbikes, any of that stuff. I've been brought up, even tennis. I've done it all. I enjoy playing all sports. I live across the road from the golf course, so I like to play golf a couple of times a week when I'm home. I'm not great at it, but I don't go too bad. And then also tennis. Like, I haven't been on a tennis court in a long time, but I watched nearly every night of the Australian Open the last couple of weeks. Like, I love that. I love all sports in general, and just appreciate each sporting athlete in their own.
As we're sort of finishing up here, I just want to know, is there any advice you'd like to give to some of the riders that are, say, in the top sort of 80% at their local track, and, any advice for them to keep growing to get to that next step?
Get away from that track immediately and learn another one straight away. There's no point being a home track hero, because in the UK, there's not one track the same. And even in Australia, there's barely any tracks like Australian tracks. So you need to, if you can go good around Brisbane, get away from it, go to Mildura, learn to race Mildura. If you can race awesome in Mildura, get yourself up to Brisbane. And you just need to be a skillful motorcyclist on a speedway bike and learn to adapt wherever you go, whether, you're at a real tight track around Newcastle, for example, in the UK, real long straights, tight corners like a hairpin. You got to get around there, and sometimes you could even have 3 inches of dirt on the outside, so it can be a bit hairy at times. But you got to just be aggressive, attack it, learn to be able to ride a bike and to have good bike control. And then not only that, you might be there on a Sunday, for example, and then you'll be at Bellevue on Monday, which is the biggest, flowiest track in the UK. That's unbelievable. It's 18 meters wide on the straights and on the corners, so you've got that much room to do anything you want. So if you go there and ride with the same style as what you rode at Newcastle the day before, you'll get beat by half a lap. So you've got to learn to adapt and ride every track differently.
I just want to say again, thank you for doing this with me. And hopefully you'll be one of many solo riders in the future that I can say, I chatted to that guy before he was world champion or Australian champion.
Yeah, well, hopefully when that time comes, we can have another chat.